Well, it appears we have two criminals in the NBA, and their names are Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They have committed one of the most heinous acts of this decade, tricking the entire NBA and making everyone look foolish. Stay tuned for more details. All right, enough of the dramatic entrances. PG-13 and Kawhi have been terrific this year, and it's shocked most, if not everyone watching. Not because they aren't good players, that's crazy talk. They're obviously elite, all-time great players. But the reason their performances have been shocking to some is because how injury-prone they've been. We all know their injury history throughout their long career, so we won't go over that. But we will go back a little to last year's playoffs. In the first round, they faced off against Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, maybe the most dynamic duo in the NBA in terms of scoring. I mean, listen, in that series, Durant averaged nearly 30, and Booker was averaging over 37 points. It's just insane. A scoring duo like that one needs to be slowed down by great defenders on the other end. However, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard would miss a large portion of that series due to injuries, with George not even playing a single game. George was out due to a sprained knee, and Kawhi missed the remainder of the series after Game 2 due to a torn meniscus in the same right knee in which he tore his ACL in the 2021 Western Conference Finals. It was a total disaster. And as distasteful as it sounds, basketball fans around the world made jokes about how they could never stay healthy, and that they would never win a championship because they were basically made of glass. And respectively, there was some truth to that. Now again, we won't go over their long injury histories, but it just seems that every single time they've gotten close to winning it all, or at least getting close to winning it all, tragedy strikes. And it was so damn tough to witness as well. If there's two players in the league you have no choice other than to root for, it's Paul freaking George and the cyborg himself. They literally don't bother anyone. They don't trash talk, they don't make dirty plays, and come off as great guys in the sense that not one current or former teammate of theirs has said anything negative about them. And the list goes on. Not to mention they play the game how it's supposed to be played on both ends of the court. So to see them suffer these constant injuries over the years, including last year where adding Westbrook made them even more of a fan favorite, it just wasn't fair. It's that simple. However, this year may be the year. And I know it seems like we've been saying this since 2020, so I'm not trying to jump the gun, but seriously, this year feels different, starting with Kawhi Leonard. He's played damn near every game now. And now how many times could you have said that in the past? But it should be noted that we're still just in the middle of a long season. But we are living in the present right now. And the present day shows he's been healthy and available for his team, which is the most dangerous version of Kawhi out there. He's averaging 24, 6, and 3 while shooting 52% from the field, and a Steph Curry-like 45% from the three-point line. And he's actually shooting over 55% from 3 over the last 7 games. Yeah, you heard that right, 55% from beyond the arc. Offensively, he's been unstoppable, with the mid-range still being his bread and butter. He's shooting 40% in the mid-range and from a few feet in. Just below that free area, he's shooting nearly 50%, which ranks him 7th in the NBA at the moment. So this just lets you know that his mid-range continues to be one of the most deadliest shots in the game. His ability to score here has been incredible, and he's the prime example of why I don't understand why there was this narrative suggesting that the mid-range is dead, and coaches would rather you shoot threes than mid-range in today's game. And while I certainly agree that threes are the most important shots in basketball now on every level, that doesn't mean that the mid-range isn't important either. Two things can be true at the same time. Shooting threes are very important, but so are mid-ranges. Young players like SGA, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, Brandon Ingram, Cam Thomas, and Paolo Banchero have pretty much brought the mid-range shot back into existence. The best scorer in the NBA, Joel Embiid, literally leads the NBA in scoring while operating solely in the mid-range and stamping himself as the best mid-range shooter ever among centers. And it makes sense why we're seeing sort of a resurgence with the mid-range. For one, it's closer to the rim. And 2, getting inside the mid-range opens up so many other options for you. Because think about it, once you get into the mid-range, the defense is forced to collapse and close in on you so that they can shrink the floor. That opens up kick-out passes to shooters and cutters, but it also allows you to draw fouls a lot easier since everyone is so close to you. This is something SGA and Joel Embiid have mastered. You basically have to play them one-on-one because if you double or bring in a help defender to creep close by, they're just going to find a way to manipulate both defenders into fouling them. I know most might call it flopping, but it's truly an art and it takes a lot of thinking. But nonetheless, Kawhi doesn't even need to be a master at drawing fouls like some of the other best scorers in the league. He only shoots about 4 free throws per game. He's so damn unstoppable in the mid-range that he can simply rise up over you at any point of the game and make the shot over you. But what really makes this Kawhi different is that three ball we were just talking about. Like, what the hell do you even do when one of the best mid-range scorers of all time is making threes at the same percentages as the greatest shooter ever? His elite three-point shooting opens up a lot for this Clippers offense. Like we just talked about in our last Clippers video, go and check that out. James Harden, as the primary facilitator on this team, makes it to where Kawhi is getting the best looks of his career. Usually, he's had to create the majority of his long-distance shots, which isn't really his game. Not saying he can't do it, but you can tell he's one of those players who believes simpler is better. He would rather shoot a traditional one-dribble pull-up or fadeaway in the mid-range rather than chucking up a three after a 5-dribble combo move. Like I said though, with Harden, he doesn't have to worry about doing that at all, honestly. Because once Harden and Ivica Zubac get into that pick and roll, all of the defense's attention will be on them due to how incredible of a pick and roll maestro Harden is. But doing that will leave guys open, guys like Kawhi, who has one of the purest forms in the game. So making open spot-up threes is something he could do in his sleep. Well, I'm not even sure cyborgs even sleep, but that's besides the point. Kawhi has been as advertised offensively. And to no one's surprise, he's been great defensively too. He's averaging 1.7 steals per game, which is the highest steals average since 2019. His on-ball defense isn't near what it was when he was in San Antonio, but his off-ball defense is still pretty elite. Those instincts, length, and anticipation never disappears, no matter how many injuries you have. You cannot throw any sloppy passes around him. You'll just swallow and gobble them up and be thrown down a dunk on the other end in a blink of an eye. Paul George has been just as great. He's averaging 22, 5, and 3, while shooting 40% from 3 as well. And let me say this, there are seriously people who say this man isn't an all-star and shouldn't have been a reserve. That narrative alone lets me know that quote-unquote basketball fans have no respect for players who are elite on both ends of the floor. I'd rather take a guy who averages 22 and plays elite defense over a guy who puts up 25 and plays virtually no defense. The two-way player is simply more impactful. It's as simple as that. The Clippers wouldn't be where they are without his contribution. There's been games where he has completely taken over and during some stretches even looked like the best player on the team. He's just a bucket. There is no other way to explain it. And like I said with Kawhi, he's getting a lot of open looks too. And for elite scorers like Kawhi and George, the last thing you want to do if you're a defense is get them open looks to get them going. So now I hope you understand what I mean when I say they have fooled the NBA. Before the season started, no one could have imagined the Clippers would be playing this great. And please, let's not forget how the entire media and fans acted when the Clippers went 0-4 during Harden's first 4 games as a Clipper. Everyone was calling them another failed super team. James Harden was the problem all along. Harden is washed, he's a locker room killer, and the list goes on. Ironically, everyone said the same thing about Russ as a Laker, but yet they were both thriving in new, healthy environments. Kawhi and Paul George are showing everyone that they make a strong case of being the very best duo in all of basketball. I mean, duos like Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, Jamal Murray and Jokic, Chet and SGA, and Embiid and Maxey are great. But as of now, I'm taking the Claw and PG-13 over all of them as a duo. There's just no answer for them at all as scorers and defenders. And I hate to end with this, but I really hope they continue to stay healthy. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to put it out there. I don't want to jinx it. Let's stay positive for them. They are the best duo in basketball, whether you like it or not. Name a better duo. I'll wait. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.